The focus of this particular session is to briefly touch on the approaches or techniques that those faithful to the field of OD need to adopt in order to raise the standard of organization development as a field that is fundamental to leading change, continuous improvement, and improving the human condition at different levels of human civilization. We can look at it from self level, family level, organization level, and societal level. And premised on the understanding that the OD field has a dual identity, and the dual identity of it as the field addressing the science of change and also understanding the practice of change. So when we look at the field of organization development, there are a lot of evolutions that has happened, and the field itself has recorded immense expansion. It's expanding in terms of its boundaries. It's expanding in terms of its branches and blossoms. And as such, there is deeper need to ensure that we adopt certain practices that raises the standard of the field itself. And the evolving nature of the field is attributed to some extent to the increasing paradoxical challenges which emanate from the tensional forces that are there between the internal environment and the external environment. And to understand the techniques that we can use in order to raise the standard of the field, there's one fundamental question that we need to attend to. And the question is, how can organizations revitalize their innovation agenda? Because at the center of continuous improvement, at the center of leading sustainable strategic change, at the center of improving the human condition is this element of revitalizing the innovation agenda. And from where we stand as the Center for Organization Leadership and Development, the organization development field should be touted as a strategic and operational imperative to move organizations and societies forward. And we have seen an exponential increase in the number of training and education providers offering courses on OD, courses on change management. And this is again in response to the increasing paradoxical challenges and the intentional forces that we see between the internal and the external business operating environment. So as I have indicated, the field itself is now characterized by widening branches, widening boundaries, and there is significant methodological innovation as a result of the efforts that we see from a number of OD promoting organizations and the increasing number of OD scholar practitioners. But at this point in time, it is also important to take note of this particular quote from Glenn H. Varney, who said, and I quote, "Due to the easy entry into the OD field and the pressing need of organizations for professional help, a rapidly increasing number of individuals have proclaimed themselves OD professionals. They have been able to acquire a quick grounding in OD basics through short workshops and seminars. With only a few exceptions, do these programs begin to deal with the broader and more important competencies needed for OD professionals, such as skills in conceptualization, the ability to design change strategies, and an understanding of data collection. The result of all this is a loosely defined professional field that permits, perhaps evenly unknowingly encourages incompetency and anti-professionalism, close quote. So against this background, there is need to raise the standard of the field. And how do we raise the standard of the field? We need the element of contextual and strategic intelligence. And it's something that we need to prioritize in the field itself. So contextual and strategic intelligence focuses on gaining insight, foresight, hindsight, and oversight around the initiatives or interventions that we'll be trying to put in place. So as this core of this discussion, at the core of this discussion rather, is to review or re-look at some of those fundamental aspects to raising the standard of OD as a field. And number one is the need for OD scholars and OD practitioners to innovate multidisciplinary approaches to continually stretch the field, continually stretch the boundaries of the field, understanding that change is the only constant. So we need multidisciplinary approaches to stretch the boundaries of the field and also to align to the increasing changes that are happening in the operating environment, both the internal and the external environment. Number two is for those in OD scholarship and those in OD practice to check systematic biases in research through fostering insightful methodological inventiveness. And this requires the blending of theory and practice, what we can pick from the Aristotelian second legacy, which focuses on the blending of universals and the particulars. So when we're then looking at research and avoiding research biases, we need to ensure that those in OD scholarship have that grounding on ensuring they properly blend the particulars and the universals and avoid that systematic biases that we see that we can see in OD research. And this requires methodological reductionism. This will then require issues of bracketing in terms of our biases in order to ensure that the research output is rich in advancing the field itself. Number three is to define the norms of practice. You need to define the norms of practice and epistemological issues to bridge the academic practice divide in that respect. And number four, there is need to promote ethical scrutiny among OD professionals and OD scholars. And this requires fostering the ethics and morals dimension that is required in this particular field. Number five, we need to popularize central traditions, models, and concepts that inform this field. And this calls us to be grounded on the fundamental aspects, the foundational concepts of the field, where we need to promote humanitarianism. We need to promote inquiry and engagement in that respect. And number six, we need to promote standards of cumulative knowledge development, dissemination, and application, because the field itself has that dual identity, which is the science of change and the practice of changing. And if we then promote cumulative knowledge development, knowledge dissemination, and knowledge application, we are aligning ourselves to the dual identity of the field. And number seven, there is need to strengthen the network of OD organizations scholars, and professionals across the globe. So these are some of the 7 aspects or elements that are important for us to continually stretch the field, the boundaries of the field, and to raise the standard of organization development as a field that is fundamental to sustainable strategic change. And I also wrote in the book Organization Development Review that in order to stretch the boundaries of the field and to raise the standard of OD, it is important that scholar practitioners, OD scholar practitioners, should become responsible authors of novelty, advocates for the flourishing of the field, agents of change and convergence in OD practice, arbiters in the inevitable cases of divergence and chaos, and in organizations and work groups. And lastly, we need to be ambassadors of relational practice. So as we strive to widen the boundaries of the OD field and demonstrate practical methodological inventiveness, leading the field to certain wide spaces, it is essential to keep all scholarly and applied activities rooted in the white and black swans of the field. We need to constantly review the fundamental concepts, assumptions, and vocabulary, which are the white swans of the organization development field, and foster continuity and stability through integrating the nascent concepts and models, which are the black swans of this particular field. So we need to put effort to raise the standard of OD field, raise the standard of the OD profession in that respect. So we need to take note of the 7 elements of raising the OD field standard as a field that is fundamental to sustainable strategic change at self, family, organization, and societal level. We are the Center for Organization Leadership and Development, overseeing the Organization Leadership and Development Network, a community of scholars and practitioners that are committed to advancing the field of organization development as a multidisciplinary field. And as such, we invite you to be part of our conversations. Thank you so much.